Welcome back to the channel. Today we have Steelrising gameplay, and please forgive me if you see in the background that there's actually a little bit of lag. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. However, I do want to give you guys my initial impressions, like kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly, all wrapped up in 10 quick little notes for you guys to make kind of your own little impressions and form your own little opinions. These are just my opinions and my impressions. There's gonna be a lot of good and very little bad, but stick around to the end where I kind of give you a little bit more information about what I think is great. Comment down below if you have these kind of same ideas, and if you have not played it, I would love to hear. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. We are on a road to 100 subscribers so we can get that custom URL. But without further ado, let's get off into number one. Number one, I'm going to start off with the ugly. There's not much ugly, there's not much bad, but I want to start off there. Number one, the power usage. The game itself is pretty hefty. On PC is about 400 gigs or something like that, but the power usage is pretty hefty. I don't mind downloading a hefty game. However, for streaming, it is not the greatest game, and I had some difficulties streaming earlier today actually, and which if you guys were there you would have seen, but it was pretty hefty. So I had to, the best way I could stream it was to get it to low quality and to lower the quality of my actual stream. You know, I have a pretty decent PC. It can run very well with lots of different things, but it uses the amount of power as like Warzone and Fortnite and eldenring put together. You know, it was running about 60 to 70% of my GPU on my CPU, which is crazy. If anybody else having those issues, I would like to know if it's something with my PC specifically. Maybe I need to just, you know, do something or change up some stuff, but I would love to know in the comment section down below. Number two, the other ugly thing. These two things are just things that I cannot get around, and it completely deters me from wanting to, you know, potentially play the game in the way that the game should be played and wanting to stream, you know. So my second thing is the auto lock system. I'm not sure if it's bugged out, but the auto lock system is so unpredictable. I'm going to say, and you guys are going to see it in the gameplay right now, but I'm going to say I'm not sure if it's good to use the auto lock or not. Definitely when there's only one enemy around, it's okay. Go ahead and use it. But when there's multiple enemies around, whether you're fighting or engaging those enemies, the auto lock, it bounces. It bounces. Now, if you've played eldenring before, or really any kind of RPG games where you have an auto lock system, then sometimes it can get a little bit difficult, because if there's a main enemy who you're trying to fight, and then there's like side enemies or some bugs around or whatever, like, and they're in like your field of view, sometimes the auto lock rotates towards them. However, in one of my gameplays while we were live today, I auto locked onto one of the enemies. There was an enemy far but not behind me. Okay. It didn't cross my field of view at all. And I jumped up, and you can see my character spun around to auto lock onto another enemy that I was trying to attack that was in front of me. It is that strong. And so it's almost really difficult to turn it off as well, because there's really the hitbox for these enemies are relatively thinner than what you would imagine, even though yours is pretty large. But the auto lock system is something that I'm sure it has to be bugged out, because there's no way that that's what they intended. But with the ugly out of the way, I want to quickly talk about the bad. The first weapon that you spawn in with, which is the halberd, is not. It's a good weapon, but it's very difficult, especially for, you know, probably newer players, to understand that, you know, the delay between the time that you actually you press the button to swing and the actual time that the weapon swings. There's a lot of time in between, especially for it to be a first starting off weapon. It's not really like something that deters me from the game, and it's not really something that I think is a bad thing about the game. I just think that, especially for the first weapon, typically the first weapon, it would be a little bit lighter. Granted, it is a halberd, so it is a larger weapon, so I do understand that. I just want to list that off as, because I don't have much. And number four, we have the cool-off system. The cool-off system, I think, is, and you're going to see in a second, because the cool-off system is also in the good, but I think the cool-off system, which is essentially you have your stamina, and which is the amount of things you can do, your movement, your jumps, your attacks, all those things. If once it gets so low, you do have the option of pressing your prompt button and it'll recharge your stamina. And it's what it does is it cools down your battery. Now the cool off system itself is fine. I don't think that it was very well explained, and I don't think that it is all like it's very unpredictable starting off. Again, this is just a bad thing. The only bad thing I want to specifically say is the explanation of it. That's what is bad, okay? So with the ugly and the bad out of the way, I want to go ahead and go through what I feel like is good about this game. There's a lot, and I wanted to fit it down into short because I really wanted to be short. But first, number one, the cool-off system. I love it. The idea that you run out of stamina, but you have this quick chance to completely recharge it or recharge it in a specific time. You have a span to press that button and recharge your stamina up to whatever length of time you have. That it prompts you, it shows you, and there is what it's doing is it's cooling off the battery that are automaton, whatever it is pronounced as. It's cooling off that battery to allow you to get back into the fight and give you that endurance back. I love, and we were talking about it on stream, I love the cooldown system because it provides a trade-off. And I have not seen it in a lot of other games, and it might be. However, I really appreciate the trade-off. It's, hey, if you want to, recharge your stamina, you got to press this button really quickly, but at the same time, it does freezes you, or it does freeze damage to you. And so over time, as you continue to recharge over and over, you get higher, you get more and more frost damage done to you. And if you charge up that frost meter, that frost like affinity status, then you do freeze. And yeah, you can get out of it. However, it is definitely a good trade-off, because if I really have to get in like these last 2 hits, on an enemy, and I know I just ran out of stamina, I can quickly press it and go right into right back into combat and get it and potentially take that final blow on the boss. Now, I don't think it's gonna be used very well. I don't think it should be used very well to spam like you're just over and over, because you will get that frost. Now there are modules which are kind of like talisman or a different buff or trade off or power up for you to use to kind of minimize it. But I think that the cool off system trade off is one of the really good things about this game. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Number 6. The graphics look absolutely insane. I mean, you can't really expect anything else, because it is just an RPG that it needs to immerse you. And the graphics there are some beautiful areas in this game. There was one area where I found where I can just absolutely do amazing little shoots, like where I get to show off the different weapons in the game and show off different, like it's absolutely beautiful. It's right on, the game looks amazing. It does immerse you. Again, it is very heavy on the CPU and the GPU, but it does look absolutely fantastic. Even playing on normal just to record the gameplay that you guys are seeing right now, it still looks absolutely amazing. And there's, with that, still high and ultra high graphics that you can go with as well, and it just looks phenomenal. So I'm very happy about that. Number 7, the weapons and the moveset. Speaking of the weapons that I have gotten thus far, I've received 3 additional weapons after the launch weapon or the starting weapon, and the weapons are amazing. I have a halberd, I have a musket, I have a fist weapon, and I also have it's like a special style weapon. It's a dual wield. Just the 4 weapons that I have of about maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours of gameplay are very much different. It's such good variety. The move sets with them are absolutely amazing. They're very tailored, nicely and characterized to the actual character, and they're beautiful. You have dances, you have flourishes, you have powerful attacks, the heavy attacks versus the light attacks, and then the combos with, and then the chaining. There are so many different styles of movesets, and the weapons themselves look absolutely amazing. I think the balance of them was actually really good as well for me to have none of them leveled up. I think as far as, because I am kind of the person who does like to charge, attack so much, I end up charging up myself more than I do the weapons, unfortunately. So with that being said, it is really good that I'm very challenged when fighting, you know, bosses, but my skill will get me past, you know. But the weapons themselves, I think, are very well balanced. I think they do a great job with the weapons. I was very happy about that. Number 8 are the enemies and their weapons. I think the enemies that I've encountered thus far are pretty frustrating. I'm gonna say frustrating. They are very frustrating. I have to, there's nothing else I can say but that they're frustrating. But some of the enemies, a lot of them are also, there's a lot of variety in a lot of enemies as well. They aren't just the same enemies, especially when it comes to like these automatons, like the robots or whatever. You could potentially get, I've seen dogs, robotic dogs, you know, and I can't even really explain how all of them are, but they're all very different, and their move sets and the weapons that they have, how they charge you and attack you. I really like that as well. It keeps you on your toes, right? And it challenges you to learn different combat styles, and challenge you to learn when you need to jump versus when you need to evade, when you need to quickly get back or block, or it makes you do right off the bat with so many different enemies. Really good. Another thing is about it is, like, which I'm actually coming up to number 9. Another great thing with the enemies specifically is the fact that, like, they don't just stand around. You know, you have a very slim chance, a very slim timing to perform like a sneak attack. Very small, very slim chance to perform a sneak attack, because they're not just really standing around. Like, you might see one standing around very much off to the distance, but before you think that they should see you, they're going to engage. They're already engaging. And in a lot of other RPGs, you kind of walking around, especially if it's open world or whatever, and the enemies are just hanging out. You can walk right up to them and damn near touch them, and next thing you know, they finally like, oh, you're here. So that's another great thing, and that's a small thing, but I really appreciate that. I feel like I need to nitpick that just because I nitpicked so much more on the bad. But I mean, I was only 2 bads. But ladies and gentlemen, number 10 that I was super excited for, that I think is a really good thing, is even though there's so much variety in the weapons, the combat styles, the way you can play, even though there's so much variety in the enemies and how they play, I still feel like I got the movement down pretty quickly and very well. Like, I might be a Souls player, and I wouldn't even consider myself a Souls player, but I still feel like I got it down pretty quickly, which is something that's going to be very helpful for a lot of other new players, is that they can eventually get it down pretty quickly. It was very frustrating, probably the first 20 to 30 minutes, but I started to get it down pretty quickly, and I like that. That was a really good thing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you made it this far, I want to say thank you so much for your support. We have been growing like crazy and doing a lot of things. So if you do like this, make sure you just go ahead and like this video. Just do that for me. Also, if you could comment down below which of these you agree with and which you don't agree with, I would love to hear that. And if you would love to, please go ahead and support with a subscription and ring the notification bell. But thank you for staying thus far. Number 11, I love this game so much so far. And one of the greatest things about it, and again, this is only my initial impression that the game has had on me, it does have that Souls-like feel. It has that Souls-like combat. It has that Souls-like death and challenge. It really did a good job of baking it into the actual game. It did such a fantastic job. There's not many games that can do that. And I'm not saying just because I die, it has it baked into it. But it's the fact of you have the chance of dying. The enemies are challenged. They present to you certain amounts of, certain amounts and size of enemies with certain, armor and health and damage that they can do to you at an early point, so that you make sure that you're leveling yourself up. They give you enough enemies with enough, essence to be able to, farm them and get those kills, to be able to, there's so many traditional things that the Souls games have that this game has done really well, and I really do appreciate it. It's something that is very nice to me, and that is going to keep me playing this game for a very long time, as well as making all this different content. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming all the way to the end of the video. I hope that you guys have a beautiful goddamn day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys. Yeah, stringing combos. Yeah, it's really easy. What? What? Why? Get back. Oh, got that.